Hi, my name is Brian Garrett, and it's currently January 2021, and I'm here to introduce myself and the garage. I'm getting ready to build an airplane. A little bit about myself. I started off flying with a sport pilot license, flying a light sport aircraft. It was a Sting airplane. It's not to be confused with the one I'm getting ready to build. But I flew that for a couple of years, and it was a good airplane. It's a certified light sport aircraft. And after getting my private pilot's license, I moved on to flying Piper Dakotas, Piper Saratoga, and a little bit of the Bonanza F-33As. All great airplanes. The certified airplanes that I've been flying have been wonderful to fly. The biggest problem really is that all of these airplanes are somewhere in the 1970s, 1980s, early 1980s time frame. So they're older. Most of them are several thousands of hours of use. 3,000 to 4,000 is probably about the average. And they're using technology from the 50s and 60s. You know, modern avionics aren't normal in them. There's some upgrades here and there that have been done to the airplanes. But as I've been flying, I've really gotten to a point where I feel like, okay, I want to fly something that's new. But if I start looking at new airplanes, the costs start becoming a fairly significant issue. It's not uncommon to find a very basic, brand new certified airplane that is in the $400,000 to $500,000 category, and that's going to be the bare minimum airplane that you could possibly get. If you want to get something that's newer, faster, or nicer to fly, you could be easily looking into the high 900,000 or even over into the $1 million price range. That's what got me to looking into experimental. I've been to Oshkosh a number of times. I have a number of friends that are flying all sorts of different experimental airplanes, with the RV being one of the most popular ones that's out there. At that point in time, I started looking into flying or to building an airplane that fit my needs. My wife and I's flying needs are, we like to take people on occasion, so a 4-seat airplane is definitely something that we wanted to consider. There's not a lot of 4-seat experimental airplanes that are out there that are easy builds. Building an airplane isn't going to be easy anyway. Most experimental airplanes that are out there right now from a kit perspective are 2 seats, and they're the normal ones you see. So several years ago, a couple years ago in 2018, I was out at Oshkosh with a friend of mine, and it's when I started looking at an airplane called the SlingTsi. It's a very, very nice airplane. It's a 4-seater. It's got a Rotex 915 turbo engine in it with FADEC, and it has some very, very, very good performance numbers. So I'll go into the section of the airplane here in a little bit, but I just kind of wanted to show you around the garage, and this is what I've gotten to this point. Currently, since it's January, I'm waiting. The kit should be here probably about April. So I've been spending a lot of time over the last several months working on preparing the space here. So when I get ready to build, everything's ready to go. So this is what we have in the garage at this point in time. So this is a 2.5 car garage. I've seen people building other slings in the internet that are building them in much smaller spaces. There's a gentleman that's building one in a tool shed, believe it or not, over in England, which is impressive. I don't know how he's managing the space so tightly. But this is a 2.5 car garage. I've spent the last several months just getting basically my tools organized. This is as good as it's been since I've lived here. So the tool cabinets down below are everything in the shop is on wheels. So everything can move as it needs to. This bench here, this is a table saw with a router table built into it. This whole thing is on wheels and it moves as I need it to. Everything that's under the benches moves as I need to as well. All the tool cabinets at this point in time are all labeled. There's 2 rolling cabinets there. I've got another rolling cabinet over here. And then we've got more stuff behind what the camera is actually sitting right now. So we'll go ahead and just continue to move the camera around the room, and I'll give you an idea of where things are at. So we've already covered this section of the garage at this point in time. We've got the table saw bench that again is on wheels. I can't imagine that I'm going to be using the table saw function too much. The kit actually it's aluminum. So anything that I would be cutting at this point in time is just going to be supporting material. I will go back over. I'm going to use this space here for a spray booth or a paint booth kind of an area. It's going to be used for spraying on the anti-corrosion material onto the ribs and items in the airplane as part of the build. So moving on over here, I got this great DRD2 dimpler from a friend of mine, and I was very, very thankful that I could get this. I built the bench that it sits on, and I built it so that it's got this unit here that slides on and off pretty easily. I've watched a few videos on YouTube on how people are using these. So I've seen some where there's actually an extra top that's on it, and then sometimes they need the extra space down below. I also did do an experimental, or I went to Eugene, Oregon for a day-long session on just the building and the dimpling and things like that. And they had quite a few of the dimplers that were there set up similar to this. Again, this is on wheels, rolls around, makes the garage somewhat functional. Back in the corner, I've got the drill press that I inherited from my dad. He actually did a lot of things like that in the garage. So it's going to be helpful for when I need something like that. Everything else over here on the wall, the cabinets that you see here, I built, and they're all on wheels as well. I'm going to set this up here in a minute and show you just kind of what I've got set up for the build area. These tops are not quite deep enough for the wings, so I built some new tops that go actually on these temporarily during the build process. So I'll show that to you here in a second. And then again, lots of bins on the walls. The bins basically are remnants from other projects over the years. I've been slowly going through and emptying them out as I've been going along so that there's more space. The kit actually comes with all of the rivets and all the supporting material for fastening in their own separate plastic pouches. So that's actually going to hang on a wall, and I've got a wall space that's all set up, and I've been protecting that space specifically for that function. All right, so I've got the countertops that I added on top here. They basically just are sitting on top. They're 3 feet wide by 16 feet long when they're joined together. The 2 units, they're independent of one another, 8 feet long per unit, bolted together here in the center. When I have the unit leveled up, it's not leveled right now, but what I'll do is raise one end, and because they're bolted together, I'll have one nice flat level surface for the wing to be built on. So, and then down here, this is the wall that I was mentioning that I'm keeping open for hanging the tool packet that I'll receive as part of the kit. All right, so we've reconfigured the garage again at this point in time. We've taken the tops off of the rolling cabinets, and they're just up against the wall in the protected space that I'd mentioned where the fasteners are going to go. There's just stored here for the time being. Once we get underway with the build, then I'd imagine those countertops will sit on the rolling cabinets during most of the build process. We also have a sink that I installed a few years ago. It's actually pretty nice being able to have a sink in the garage. When we finished the basement here, I just added the extra plumbing onto the garage. So we also have added a couple of whiteboards. You never know when you need to just quickly jot something down. I had the extra space, so why not? We come back around over here. This is the third rolling cabinet that we have in the garage space. It has a lot of the tools that are going to be used as part of the build. And when we do move the airplane to the airport, this cabinet will go to the airport. Lastly, I did add a TV to the garage. I had an extra TV in the house. All right, so the last step here is going to be the paint booth. Paint booth is sitting on the table saw. It's meant to vent fumes outside under the garage door. And we're not going to be painting the airplane, but what we will be doing is painting the components of the aluminum within the airframe itself. We're going to be using the self-etching primer, and we just basically didn't want to fill the garage up with aerosol fumes, and that's the point of the paint booth itself.